I am Raziel.
What's up guys, Raziel here, and this is my E2S Savage Guide, the second Savage fight in the series, and this is a tank-focused guide, so if you're not a tank, you'll probably be better off looking for a different guide. In this kill, which was my first kill, I was the main tank, but I'll try to explain things as we go along, so that if you're off tank or main tank, you'll understand your job or role. Now, I'll pause the video here for a second, because I want to explain the markers here. This is generally how Party Finder will set up your markers. As a tank, all you need to worry about on these markers is where B1 is, as you see over there on the right-hand side, and A, which is in the northwest corner, or whatever marker your group happens to put up there. Sometimes I've seen this reversed where A and C are on the right side. Just, you know, flip-flop it, B and 1 or over on the left. But generally, this is how you're going to see it most of the time if you do this fight in Party Finder. Okay, so something you need to know right at the beginning of the fight, they're going to put down a marker like they do in most to decide where you're going to be standing for certain mechanics. Now, if you are the main tank, you will always, 110 fucking thousand% of the time be north. You will be north of the boss for the vast majority of this fight. If you're off tank, you will be either east or west. It just depends on which one you choose or which one your group tells you to be. But in general, keep that in mind going forward, and I'll explain mechanics as I go. Now, as the start of this fight, a lot of stuff is pretty static and will happen in the same pattern. There's only one random pattern here, and I'll point it out. Again, I'm going into this guide assuming you've beat this fight on normal, because you do need to have beat it on normal so you can understand what the hell is going on. So yeah, if you haven't even done normal yet, why the hell are you watching this video? Go do normal first. Okay, so keep in mind that a lot of the mechanics are the same in normal, but you don't get any markers telling you that it's coming and what to dodge. You have to know the names of the attacks in order to effectively dodge said attacks. You can't rely on ground markers. Other than the spells and waiting, you're not going to be able to rely on any of those. So anyway, I know this is kind of dragging on here, but we're about to pull the boss. As I said, I'm main tank here, so if you're off tank, east or west. If you're main tank, you're north. So we go ahead on the pull here. And again, this is just walking through the entire guide, step by step, no cuts. So right out of the gate, he's going to do this new mechanic, as you can see, that is not in normal mode. This is a cleave mechanic. It's going to hit every player, so you're going to spread out. This is why you're going to have those markers at the beginning, where you're going to have melee and tanks on cardinal positions, and ranged and healers on the intercardinal positions that way. So, keep on going, and as you can see here, the cleaver spawned adds. You just kind of sneak through them, don't get hit by them. If you get hit by any of these adds in the fight, you're going to have a damage down debuff and take more damage. There's a stack marker there. As the main tank, I highly recommend you don't stack for it, because you need him to be in this position here for that. As you can see, this is the guillotine attack. Now this is one random element in the fight. The first one he does will either be guillotine here or slicer. If it's guillotine, you need to get on his sides, as we just did right here. If it's slicer, you need to stand underneath him, because it's the donut AoE. And again, all of these attacks are going to spawn adds that you want to not touch. Do not touch them. This fight has a really tight Enrage, so damage down is not going to help you with that. Spread out there. Don't get hit by people's marks. That mechanic's the same as it is in normal mode. Yeah, I'm not saying anything right now because nothing's really going on. All right, now here's another thing where your directionals, where you had picked to be, is important. You're always going to take the north puddle as main tank, the east or the west as off tank. As you can see here, our off tank is on the east side, and you're going to make sure you are in that puddle, okay? Now you see there's a spell and waitings are starting to happen here. Got the Darkfire 3s, spells and waiting, and you have a stack mechanic spell and waiting. However, they're not going to trigger first. The Darkfire 3s are going to be the first to trigger, followed by the stack marker, and as you can see now, there's a spell in waiting for Shadow Eye. If you look at it, you get petrified, you're going to die. If you get hit by Shadow Eye anytime in this fight, you're going to die. As you can see, we all stack, with the person that got Shadow Eye being far behind. The 2 DPS that get prey markers go away. And essentially, you just need to stack as the main tank or off tank. You just need to stack there with your back facing the person with Shadow Eye, and you're good to go. Now here comes the first tank buster. As you can see here, Shadow Flame. This happens several times throughout the fight. Generally, how Party Finder practices it, if you're, you need to hit a cooldown here. You can't just face tank this ability because it hits pretty damn hard. So in this situation, I generally stack Blackest Night with Dark Mind as a Dark Knight. Whichever tank class you play respectively, you'll know which abilities to use. And I always throw out a reprisal for every single tank buster because, as you remember, it hits both the main tank and the off tank. So one of you should be reprisaling this every single time. You can do it on your own because it'll be back up for every tank buster. Reprisal will be up on every tank buster. Continue to damage the boss, and then he's going to do Entropy. Entropy is kind of a phase transition every time he does Entropy for the most part. Now, this is a new mechanic you haven't seen. It's just like the knockback, except for this time you got to get to the opposite side of where he's drawing that orange line from because it covers half the room, so get to the right side. Then always after this, it always happens this way, a guillotine directly after that. Let's get to his sides. Then he's going to do a slicer, get in the center. It's going to spawn ads. Now right here, this is really important. You see that big purple black beam coming out of him? No longer do you have the ground effect that tells you he's about to do a pushback. Now all you have to know is there's a line there and an arm coming out of the wall. If the arm is orange, remember, you need to get to the opposite side of the room. If the line is purple, you need to hit arm's length so that you can have the maximum uptime on the boss. You can still avoid it just by going near it so that your pushback, if you're arranged, that's fine. If the pushback's not going to affect you as much. But in general, I recommend everybody use arm's length here, knockback prevention, so that you can do this mechanic while keeping uptime on the boss. Keep in mind, he will always do this ability second. The first one, the orange beam you saw us all dodge to the side of the room, that will always be first. Now he will do one more of these one more time in this fight. And it's random which one he does, so that's why you have to keep an eye. Always have to keep an eye on what color the beam is because the third one's random and you don't want to miss your arm's length or you don't want to be standing in the middle and get your shit pushed in. Okay, so again, dodge ads. Same shit, different day. See all the arm's length, no one got moved, no one got pushed. Then get back north immediately because he's going to do another cleaver. Get back to your spot, I should say. Another cleaver comes out. Try to squeeze in that gap. If you run all the way out, it's too much of a DPS loss. So squeeze through the gaps, people. All right. Now, once that's over, if you're the main tank, you want to move him closer to 1 and B. Because a mechanic's coming up and you're going to trivialize the mechanic for uptime's sake. Another entropy here. Again, this fight's Enrage is so tight. As I said before, everything we do is almost for uptime. Spell in waiting. Okay, as you can see here, he does the spell in waiting, and he does 2 prays. The 2 prey markers, that's not your job as a tank. But as you can see right here, I got targeted as the main tank with the flare. Now, the first flare that comes out is not a spell in waiting. It's going to resolve pretty fast. If you are the off tank, and you get the first flare, because it's always going to target 1 healer, 1 tank, and 1 DPS. The DPS is always going to stack on B. The healer is always going to run all the way over to the south corner marker, which is probably most likely C. And then as the tank, you are going to run to A. If you are the main tank, you need a tank swap here. The off tank needs to taunt off you, otherwise the boss is going to chase you to the corner and all your melee aren't going to be able to damage the boss anymore. So, as you can see here, I was the main tank, so he taunts, I shirk him, and then I move away to this corner and the flares come in, everybody survives. Now, I taunt it back. You don't have to taunt it back, but I did, just for clarity's sake. Now, this is really important. As you can see over in the right-hand corner, one of the people has Shadow Eye. This gentleman over here on the right. And we're all having to go to our puddles. So, you have to always keep in mind when people get Shadow Eye during this part, where they are, because if you're facing them, it's going to resolve and you're going to die. You're going to get petrified and die. So you get to your spots here, as you can see. And I can see that he's over there and it's about to resolve, so I face away from him so as not to get rocked. We continue damaging the boss. Again, try to stay north. Everybody else kind of stacks behind him. You're gonna, again, there's the tank buster again. And then the next set of mechanics are going to come in after this next entropy. This next part of the mechanic, you're going to be marked with a black marker or a white marker, and then everybody in your group needs partners here. As the tanks, you don't got to do shit. You just stand north if you're the main tank, in your same spot, or you just stand east or west if you're the off tank in your same spot. The intercardinal players will move to you. They will become your partner, and you see once this resolves, instantly after, a cleaver comes out. So that other player needs to move out. Cleaver's out. Dodge the ads. And then as you can see, it's going to do a quick stack. We all move over on him. Sometimes as the main tank, you can make that depending on where the DPS that gets that goes. Sometimes you can't. But always attempt to without running through fucking ads. A slicer here. Okay, so again, keep an eye on the boss's abilities, because you don't have any ground markers. Now the next set of mechanics are going to come in. He's going to start doing more flares, and he's going to start doing more Shadow Eyes, and he's going to be doing all the mechanics you've seen already he's going to do again. But they're going to come in really fast. It's really easy to get overwhelmed at this next part and panic and fuck the mechanics up. Just keep in mind, things are still going to resolve in the same order that they spawn in for the most part, and you just need to keep a clear head about you. So he does his spell in waiting. Once again, I got targeted with flare, but you see I don't run away instantly. And now, note here, this part right here, you see the orange beam? He's doing this one again. This one is the random one. It could be an orange beam, or it could be the purple beam where you'd have to hit arm's length. Once this beam resolves, you will never see the beam mechanic again the entire fight. So you got to pay attention. Now, as you can see, we all have flares, and we're just waiting for them to resolve. There's no need to panic. Move him back over by B, because, yeah, as you see, the other tank taunted off of me there, just so I can run for flare when it's about to go off, which is relatively soon. And you want to keep the boss on B. As you can see, I have it. I have sprint up. So I got out of there, and I face away here. The reason why I face away during this second set of flares is because someone over there has Shadow Eye. If you're looking at the boss, you're going to get hit. Oh wait, no, that's the next flare. My apologies, that's the next flare. But now you know the mechanic. So yeah, that's the next flare that's coming up. So, I taunted back because the off tank got the next set of flares. Now he's going to hit somebody with 2 Shadow Eyes. 2 of them. You don't have to worry about how to deal with the Shadow Eyes. You just got to make sure you're not looking at the fuckers. So you keep going. You see the 2 Shadow Eyes pop there. They're going to go on their markers of B and 1 and face away from each other, while everyone else in the party faces away from them. Since I happen to be main tanking at this point, my back's already to the Shadow Eyes. But the off tank who ran off, that's where he faces his back. In general, it's just safe to face your back to the boss if you're the one running to A, just so you don't get hit by any Shadow Eyes. Now, this is where a lot of people fuck up. As you can see, the black and white mechanic shows back up again, and at the same time, the ground effect bleeds showed up again. This causes your instincts to kick into overdrive, and you instantly think, I gotta get in my bleed, I gotta get in my circle. Go to your normal marks, your partners, right? So to dispel it, then go to your puddle. Don't prioritize the puddle over that. You have plenty of time to get back if the boss is in the right spot. Another cleaver there immediately after. Just dodge. Dodge. If you can dodge a ball, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge an ad, okay? Fairly simple. The hardest part of this fight, in my opinion, is coming up at the end. So right here, you get a good little, window to do as much damage as possible, where all he's doing is auto-attacking me, the main tank. Now he's going to do Quietus. Okay, Quietus is no joke, and this is where a lot of people will get fucked. So he's going to cast Quietus, which gives him a damage buff. And then he's going to do one of two abilities, okay? Now you see here, he does either Cycle of Chaos, which is what he happens to do, and this can happen in any order. Just keep in mind, he won't do two back-to-back. So he won't do Cycle of Chaos twice in a row. As you can see here, this is Cycle of Chaos, which we got first, which means we need to go to the sides first, because he does Guillotine, then you get inside, because then he does Slicer, and then you get to your cleaver spots. That's Chaos. Sides, inside, cleaver. How I generally remember it is when I see the next one here. The other possibility. Cycle of Retribution. Think of it this way. Retribution. In. Retribution. In. So he does Retribution. Everybody gets in. It's in, cleaver, sides. And dodging the fuck out of stuff. I got hit by one of these ads once, so as you can see, I have one stack. This is where people panic and fuck up. Just have your wits about you and don't get hit. Then he'll do another Quietus. And at these Quietus, from the second Quietus on, every single one you want to have one of your tanks reprisal it. And then the next one you want to have, at least a Dark Missionary out, party-wide buffs. Mitigate as much as possible because every Quietus is going to hit harder than the one before. So we organized that. I was in a Discord for this. It wasn't a static group. They just had a Discord going. So you're going to want to organize which tank is hitting reprisal. But that's essentially the fight, guys. I know this guide may seem a bit sloppy, but I wasn't going to, cut together a super elaborate, ultimately ultra detailed guide because I really don't think this fight is that bad up until Quietus. You just need to really focus up and not die. Okay, that's the biggest pro tip I can get you. Don't die. Organize your reprisals and your cooldowns for this last part with your other tank partner, and maximize DPS because this Enrage, as you can see, we're in the Enrage now, is really fucking tight. Really tight. We kill him right as he finishes it, literally. But anyway, guys, this has been Raziel. Thanks so much for tuning in. You see my first E2S kill, and this is the tank guide to E2S. So if this helped you, please leave comments down below. If it didn't help you and you want me to go fuck myself, then all right, I will. I guess I'll go fuck myself, but go fuck yourself too. Thanks everybody so much for the support. And if you like my content, please subscribe, hit the little alert bell, follow me on Twitch. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop blathering my fat ass mouth off now. So as always, my friends, keep it real.